me tell you about a friend. It's Craig LeBlanc where the good times never end. Talking Parks and Rec, it's a show you gotta know. Welcome one and all to the Daily Parks and Rec Show. It's the Daily Parks and Rec Show.
You know, you don't have to be a fireman, a policeman to serve your community. You can do it in ways, you know, if you're keeping kids off the streets and out of gang activity or any of those other nefarious things, you're still serving your community. You're still keeping people happy. And for me, you know, there's nothing better in the world than doing work that you care about. And I care deeply about the communities that I serve. Anytime I serve them, I care deeply about public service in general. That's something that I think kids nowadays need to have that connection point to. So I really encourage our young rec assistants that work for us, or young professionals that are maybe in their first full-time job.
Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Series on the Daily Parks and Rec Show. Today we're joined by Jason Hendrix, Recreation Supervisor with the City of Mesa, Arizona, whose career path is a testament to passion, purpose, and perseverance. From coaching youth sports to helping launch an entire Parks and Recreation department from the ground up, Jason has dedicated over 2 decades to creating opportunities where kids, families, and entire communities can thrive. In this conversation, Jason shares how sports can shape character, why accessibility and inclusion must be at the core of park design, and what it really takes to balance development with community needs. You'll also hear his insights on managing youth sports culture, supporting staff, and leaving a legacy that lasts beyond the field. So get ready for an inspiring look into leadership, community building, and the future of parks and recreation. Let's dive in. All right, we are live again with the Daily Parks and Rec Show, episode number 242. We actually blew past 1,500 followers after less than a year on LinkedIn. Had no intention of growing this fast, but you know, when you're making something that not the rest of the world is doing, I guess you just feel a need. So one of the needs we wanted to fill, which is our first promotion, I've been pumping this one up, is we decided to make a gift for the entire Parks and Rec industry so that you can play this in front of all of your camp counselors, part-time workers, students that are undecided, and hopefully plant a seed for them to consider Parks and Recreation as a career path. So this is a gift from the Daily Parks and Rec Show and all of our talented video editors to y'all. So we'll play this and then we'll come right back.
Every career is a choice, but few careers let you touch lives. Not once in a while, but every single day. Step into a park on a Saturday morning. You'll hear children laughing on the soccer field, families gathering for a picnic, seniors walking the trails, finding health and friendship. And behind every smile, every memory, is a Parks and Rec professional. We don't just mow fields, we grow confidence in young athletes. We don't just build playgrounds, we create safe spaces where childhood thrives. We don't just plan events, we design moments that anchor generations. Think of the coach who teaches patience, the director who champions equity, the staff member who sees potential in a child no one else believed in. Every day, Parks and Rec professionals shape character, preserve beauty, and strengthen community. And the path isn't easy. Budgets are tight, resources stretched thin, but the reward, unmatched. Because what you give comes back in legacy, in healthier communities, in lives forever changed. So why dedicate your life to Parks and Recreation? Because here, your work never ends. It lives on, in laughter echoing across playgrounds, in green spaces preserved for the next century, in the young professionals rising to lead tomorrow. This is not just a career, it's a calling, it's a legacy, it's Parks and Recreation. A message from the Parks and Rec community.
So
wouldn't it be great if we had a commercial for Parks and Rec industry that they could just share copyright free across every platform? Well, we do now. So if you have any content ideas that you would like us to create an explainer for some part of Parks and Rec that serves the community, please hit me up on LinkedIn. We'd be glad to create one. And if you had to get this thing done professionally, you're going to pay a pretty penny. So no excuses now. Uh, you've got a media company willing to create powerful, compelling content for you. Also, if you are a vendor and you would like to help co-create with us and build this media company for the Parks and Rec industry, we have an explainer video for you of how you can participate. And we are now accepting strategic partners, and we only have limited spaces. So if you want to do this, please reach out to me because they're going quick. I'll play this, and we'll come back and have an awesome conversation with Jason.
At DPRS Media Co., we believe Parks and Recreation isn't just a service, it's the heartbeat of our communities. We exist to honor the people, the vendors, and the leaders shaping the future of Parks and Rec. Our mission is simple: to tell their stories, highlight their careers, and celebrate their essential work. Our vision is bold: to be the trusted hub where leaders, vendors, and communities unite, inspiring innovation, sharing wisdom, and building a stronger, healthier nation. Through over 220 live shows and 6 weekly series, the Leadership Series, Facility Maintenance, Young Professionals Network, Youth Sports Mastery, The Rec Room, and Growing Leaders, plus our industry-leading newsletter, the weekly Parks and Rec Post, we're building a media platform made for the Parks and Rec community. And now, we're inviting strategic partners to co-create this story with us. As a partner, you'll gain 12 hours of annual live exposure with custom shows highlighting your expertise, polished 60-second promos refined for maximum impact, year-round visibility with dozens of replays across our media network, premium features in our newsletter, and amplified social media reach across LinkedIn, X, and Facebook. This is your chance to educate, inspire, and lead while connecting directly with the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. This is DPRS Media Co. Let's build the future of Parks and Rec together.
All right, so if you're a vendor that wants to help this community, help build a media company for them, our team is currently deploying about 300 man hours a week, a little over $250,000 within the first 12 months, looking to spend about $500,000 on this project within the following 12 months. And so we are rocking and rolling. If you want to jump in, please reach out to me. So Jason, how are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing really well. How are you?
Fantastic. I'd like to kind of kick it off with, so everyone go look up, what's the name of your podcast? He has a podcast all on Notre Dame, and we need to get him some followers. Him and his son has been doing it for how long now?
This is our 11th season. It's called Dos Leprechauns. Yeah, we've been doing a podcast for 11 years, and it's turned into kind of a media conglomerate, not to the specificity as you have, but it's a labor of love. We love it, and we've been blessed to be able to have some great opportunities with the podcast and the media group to meet some really cool people and to help some people get to games and stuff like that too. It's been a great time.
So it's a father-son deal. How old was your son when y'all started this?
Let's see. He's 22 now. So I think he had just turned 10, and he said, "Dad, I want to be a sports journalist when I grow up." And I said, "All right, cool, let's do a podcast." And we got our phone and went live and did the reverse phone thing. And next thing you know, we've got some former players calling in to want to talk to me and my kid. And and he's going to school. He's going to junior college to pursue his sports journalism degree. So I guess it worked out.
It goes to show you don't have to grow up to be something.
That's right, exactly. I'm still not grown.
Right. And Parks and Rec is just kids anyway. We never grow up.
Amen to that. That's one of the reasons I love my job is I love sports, and I get to be around athletics and sports and fields and sports-minded people all day.
Yeah. All right. So if someone wants to start a podcast like you did a decade ago, what are some face plants, landmines, things you wish you knew back then that you could kind of help somebody avoid stepping on the same landmine you did?
To be honest with you, I'd love for people to learn from my mistakes because we've made tons of them. It started as kind of a throw paint at a wall to see what sticks type situation.
Mm-hmm.
What I would say has been the most successful for us is to just be true to who you are. We've kind of been known as the group that's not going to go out there and bash the players after a loss or anything like that. We enjoy Notre Dame athletics, especially football, and it's more of a celebration. We're not going to be. I mean, we definitely can do the X's and O's, and they should have run this post route instead of a curl route, and they should have played prevent defense instead of whatever. We can do that, but we prefer to talk about hey, let's look forward to this game because this person's going to make his debut, or that person, whatever. We get into more of the the heart of the story, the heart of the university, and what it's all about, and that's kind of where we're different. So I would say just stay true to who you are and don't try to be something you're not. Like if you're not an X's and O's person, don't be that. If you are, if you like graphs and numbers and things, then do something that breaks down the analytics of the game. That's just not us. We like to have fun with it, and we have a great following of folks that have been super supportive. I think at first just because it was a father-son thing, now because I think we do some pretty good content. So yeah, just stay true to yourself and don't try to do too much and let it grow organically. If you try to force it, it's never going to work. We tried to force it at first, hey, I got to make all this money, that kind of thing. And now we're just, hey, if it comes to us, great. If not, at least let's have fun doing it.
And what's the name of it? It's got a YouTube channel?
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, literally anywhere, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's Dos Leprechauns, so DOS Leprechauns. And you'll find us just about anywhere.
Dos Leprechauns. Let's see. I'm going to subscribe.
Awesome. Thank you.
Come on.
That gets us to 2. All right.
All right. Let's see. That's our second. That's 3. Me, you, and your son. Hold on. I'm going to find a way to add share screen. All right. So this is it, correct?
There it is.
What's your favorite video on here? We can maybe watch a little clip of it.
Let's see. If you go down a little bit further, if you go to the live icon.
There we go.
So this is our pregame and postgame show. So every single Notre Dame football game, we do a pregame and a postgame show. Let's skip the Miami one because that didn't go our way. If you keep going down a little bit further, let's go to here. Let's go right there to Dos Leprechauns with 2026 running back commit Javion Osborne. It's to the right over there.
This one.
So that's actually, I wasn't able to make it that day. So my son and one of our staff members, or one of our contributors, Jeff, we were able to interview one of the incoming Notre Dame recruits for the 2026 class.
Let's see.
Fast forward a little. There's like an intro of him playing. And then, like I said, I wasn't able to make it, so Nate and Jeff took it.
Notre Dame recruit that we just
That's
picked
your
up
son?
a few days
Yes,
ago.
my son.
And we're going to have.
And then this is one of the players?
Yeah, right there on the
What
bottom
were the
is Javion
advantages,
Osborne. He's a
disadvantages? Did you
four-star,
ever get turned off, or
running back recruit for the
was
Irish
it
for
a-
the 2026 class. And so Jeff and my son asked him some questions about why Notre Dame and what he's excited about. And yeah, it was a really good interview. Got a lot of good feedback from that one. And
I love it.
We do it a little bit unique. We go live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. We simulcast. So we don't really, we record it to Spotify later, but our real audience is when we do the live shows, so people can kind of make comments, and we try to read as many comments as we can on air.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, keep going. And
Yeah,
the university, does the university know about you yet, or are they kind of like supportive?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think there's some players that are familiar with us, some family members that are, some of the coaching staff we definitely have good relationships with. Like I said, we keep it positive, so I think people appreciate that. So yeah, I think they're definitely aware.
Fantastic. And hopefully I'll keep it going forever.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, how did y'all become Notre Dame fans? Is that where you went to school?
No. Actually, so when I was much younger, my dad took me to a game at USC because we lived in Southern California. And after the game, just about the entire team came out. It was before they had barriers set up, so you couldn't get to the players or anything like that. And now, at that time, we were able to just kind of walk around, and they all came out and gave me a high five and signed my hat. And I was hooked from that point. I was 9 years old, and since then, the funny story I tell is when I met my wife, I was very, and she'll tell you otherwise, but I was very upfront in the fact that Saturdays from late August or early September through late November, early December are pretty much booked for Notre Dame football. So we got to plan weddings, anniversaries, birthdays on Sundays, or literally any other day other than Saturdays in the fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, that's definitely a cool story. And Anything else we can tell? I'm trying to think what we can tell for podcasters. Definitely check out StreamYard. It has got to be the
Yes.
simplest thing to just get your content, live streaming it. And what's another piece of advice? Oh, here's one we can give. If you can live stream, the algorithm treats you best
True.
versus
Very true.
edited content. If you're brave enough to just go live unedited and just start talking, the other advice I would give is just start. And it's okay if it's terrible because nobody's watching in the first 100 episodes.
That's true.
How many episodes do you have under your belt so far?
Oh man, let's see. We do about 12 or so per season, and then we do some in the off season if we can get an interview or if we have something to cover. I would say we're probably in the neighborhood of 100, 150, 125, somewhere in that range. We started on iTunes, so we probably have another 12 or so on that if you want Spotify, but a majority of the content is in our live folders on our socials.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Your son is off to the races, man. That's going to give him a ton of great experience.
That's definitely the goal. If we don't get anything else out of this, if you got some good exposure and experience that you can put on his resume, then so be it.
Yep. Fantastic. Well, keep going. All right. So you started your career in football coaching, correct?
Kind of, yeah. I started. I coached high school football for a year after I graduated high school in Riverside, California. Ramona High School, go Rams. And then I started working at McDonald's because my dad said, get a job or go to school full time or get out. So football ends, you're kind of looking for something to fill the time because you're so used to practice all the time and everything. And I had something to do. Went to work at McDonald's more full time or on a regular basis after high school ended. And then, that wasn't exactly the most glorious or fulfilling of jobs. So my dad was the fire chief for the city of Colton, California. And one day he came home and told me, hey, there's an opportunity at the community center to go work in the Parks and Rec department and coach some flag football and basketball. And I was like, say less. Like, where do I sign up for that? And so I went in, I think the next day for an interview. Shout out to Cecilia Hernandez, who was my first ever person to interview me and came in and asked me if I like sports. And I was kind of said yes. And next thing you know, I think it was 2 weeks later, I had my drug test and my background and all that good stuff. And within maybe a month, I was a recreation leader for the city of Colton. It was actually at the time called the Neighborhood Services Department. And my literal first job was coaching flag football and then later youth basketball and scorekeeping and reffing for the city. And it was amazing. I mean, it's getting paid to do what you love is on another level. It wasn't obviously a very high paying job at the very front start end of your career, but at that point I knew this is what I want to do because I got to see the impact. I mean, city, in Colton, we're able to work with a really diverse demographic of kids. And so seeing the smiles on their faces and knowing that you're a positive role model for them who they may not have one otherwise, I was hooked and I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah. And so we talk about early childhood formation, how important education is, those formative years, but maybe help the audience understand how important or how useful it is to have your classroom be sports where there's confrontation, there's pain, there's sweat, there's loss, there's victory, there's your teammate messed it up, you messed it up. Like, how important is that or how useful is that environment to form a child?
Yeah, I feel like you really summed it up. I mean, there's a life lesson in every game and every sport and every activity. I am a huge proponent for finding something to do extracurricular wise, especially nowadays with everybody being on the screen. It's video games and it's your iPhone, your iPad, and we're losing so many kids to those things. And I think e-gaming and some of those things can be great too if that's your deal. But I do think that municipal sports are the entryway to kids in forming relationships and building confidence, building leadership skills, and understanding that it's okay to take a loss. It's about what you learn from that loss that's going to make you successful. And people really lose sight of that. And I think I had a boss in Colton who came in and really is one of my mentors in life. Her name is Deb Farrar. Sorry, I'm going to give a few shout outs because there's a lot of people who help me get where I'm at. But Deb Farrar, she's the director now in recreation and community services in Colton. And when I first was running the sports leagues in Colton, I got promoted to a rec specialist. So I was then managing the leagues. And I was all about, competition, the winner moves on to this other tournament, regional tournament. And we had to give prizes, the best prizes to the winners. And Deb came in and said, we're not going to be about the competition. We're going to be about the development and making sure kids have a good time and sportsmanship. And at first that was a dagger to me. I'm a competitive guy and didn't quite understand that. But as we moved along in the program and I learned more from her and why that's important and the overall development, I understood that, they're going to get that pressure to win and win at all costs at that next level, the high school level, the college level, wherever they might go, club ball. So if they're in a city Parks and Rec program at 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, let's let them learn about sportsmanship and how to get along first and how to, walk and chew bubblegum at the same time first, as opposed to trying to, be the next Michael Jordan or the next Kobe Bryant. So understanding that philosophy was big for me. So I think that when you put a kid out there, when you sign your kids up for rec ball or Little League or ASO or whatever municipal entry-level sport you're going to do, I think it's crucial that you really take a look at what your philosophies are as a program. There should be an element to winning and what that looks like and how to deal with success, but there should also be more of an emphasis put on development and understanding, how to be a better person. And I think that there are so many programs out there that I've seen through my days that do a great job of that. And then I think that the travel ball situation has kind of evolved into that next level that people that are successful and think that they have that next skill level are going towards. And so I think that our job as Parks and Rec professionals is to create that very entry level. Everybody should be welcome. Let's have some scholarships for these kids that can't afford it. Mesa does an incredible job of making sure that kids that might need a little bit of extra resources have those through our adaptive programs. So just finding a touch point to every kid that wants to be out there at your parks playing soccer, t-ball, flag football, basketball in the gym, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would also encourage any parent to get your kids in any and every sport possible. Me personally, I was the world's worst baseball player, basketball player, football player. I was decent at track, horrible at wrestling, pretty good at track, but I got a full paid scholarship for cheerleading, go Wildcats. I got the full scholarship to University of Kentucky. So you never know how things are going to play out. But I learned so many lessons in sports I was horrible at.
Yeah, and look at you turned out just fine.
That's right. That's right. And I lost more games in every sport you can shake a stick at. And then I coached cross country for 9 years, and I'm by no means a cross country runner, but I did my best to run with the kids.
That's awesome. I love that.
And so, and I think nobody does that involve all kids better than, at the community level with Parks and Recreation. They're really not all about these elite teams. They're more about, let's not leave a kid out for any reason.
100%. Yeah. And there's so many organizations out there, National Alliance for Youth Sports, NAYS, APRA, the Arizona Park and Rec Association. I think a lot of the agencies that are involved in the athletics team there, we all carry the same philosophy. We want to avoid the high pressure, win at all costs, spend $1,000 in addition to your $35 or $65 registration fee to win. 9-year-old kids, I'm sorry if I'm offending anybody here, 9-year-old kids should not be having specialized coaches at that age. They should be playing, like you said, every single sport you can possibly do. Because you'll hear a lot of professional athletes at this point talk about how they're glad that they're very thankful that their parents had them do every sport, not just football, not just baseball, because again, it developed those soft skills. They're already gifted athletes if they're a professional athlete. So somebody already saw, hey, this kid's got that talent, but then are they able to go out and compete at a more, global level, right? Like if they're great at baseball, can they go out and play a little bit more individualized sports such as wrestling or basketball? That's when you start to see, hey, this kid can really go somewhere. Let's continue to develop him. And maybe at the high school level, then we're talking about some individualized coaching and focusing on one sport. But gosh, from 13 and below, man, let them be kids. Let them have fun. There's going to be enough pressure in the world as it is. So let them be kids.
Yep. That reminds me of my, I have my fellow host for the Youth Sports Mastery Show every Thursday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Aaron Locks has been doing this for 40 years, and his slogan is play hard, have fun. And he has had some of the best coaches in America come on his show that basically say, if your kids aren't signing up next year because that's such a great time, you're doing something wrong as a coach. They should be having a blast every single practice, every single game. And if it's all about just chewing them out because they dropped the ball and stuff, they just don't want to come back. And then you might lose that young little athlete for the rest of his life.
Absolutely. And it's only going to take one bad experience before they have that bad taste in their mouth to not want to do that sport. And
Yep.
it could, force them back into the house and they're on the screen all day or other not so great activities as well. So yeah, it's tough because most of these folks are volunteer coaches, and you're trying to train them to model your philosophy out there on a daily basis, and they get frustrated. They've had a bad day at work, and so I think it's just really encouraging them, even when they're coming out with not such a great day. If you see a coach out there that's clearly not having a great day, maybe getting after the kids a little bit too much, staff should be stepping in and saying, "Hey, can I help you out today? Let's go run a different drill, or let's try to break them up into smaller sections, that kind of thing."
Yeah. Yeah, and we had one of the guests on that show. He was really big in the referee officiating department, and he said every parent should be a ref for one game before they're allowed to attend a game.
We had the Arizona Park and Rec Association conference last week, and I went to a session that was led by a professor at the Arizona State University, and it was talking specifically about the struggle to maintain a good officials crew of officials and umpires, because it's horrible right now. Some of the things that you hear out there on the field or in the court, the way these refs are treated, the way they're, the way that things that are said to them. And it was interesting because he kind of related. He said, "Well, how are you behaving as a spectator at a particular sport?" And I had to kind of do a self-reflection. I had to look in the mirror, because when the Irish are playing, if there's a bad call, man, I'm pretty embarrassed at some of the things I say, and I think my wife will attest to that.
Right.
So, am I modeling the behavior I want to see out of the parents in our program? Absolutely not. So,
Yep.
it was kind of one of those, man, that was a punch to the gut right there, and I had to think about that. But again, I think it's all about the philosophy that you create, and if parents walk in with some predetermined or pre-discussed knowledge of what our expectations are and how we want to treat these kids, and then you see it visually around the gym, Positive Coaching Alliance. Here's our philosophies. Here's our core principles. If they're seeing that visually and you've already instilled that in them as before they even walk in the gym, that's half the battle right there. You've already done something. And we're blessed to have an assigner that does our officiating, so we don't have to worry too much about that. But at the older kid, when we have the older kids playing, you can still see some of that start to creep out, and we have to, remind the coaches, "Hey, go talk to your parents. It's just a game. You got 11 more of these guaranteed opportunities to play. So take a chill pill."
Yeah. Can you imagine if you stood up and say, "Great call, ref. Keep it coming. We love you. We're glad you're here." You just don't even hear that.
It would just be so awkward, because everybody would be, "What is going on with this guy?"
Right. Unless he's for the other team that the call went in their favor.
Exactly.
All right. So I also have written down here that you helped start a Parks and Rec department from the ground up, which, if I'm understanding correctly, like some cities, they just don't have a Parks and Rec department. And for the first time in that city's life, they're like, "All right, we're going to get a director, and you're our first and maybe even only employee for the department. Might get a groundskeeper." And I am shocked at how many people that I've had on my show you'd think after this country being around for 200 years and the cities being so old that every city would have had a Parks and Rec department, but that's not the case.
Right.
So maybe let's tell that story a little, and we might have to break that story up because we're coming up on our halfway point, but let's go ahead and get that one going.
Yeah, I'll try to give you the Cliff Notes version. City of Menifee, California. Absolutely love this community. Amazing city. I just really have a heart for the city. Is just very unique. It's about 100,000-ish residents now. When we started, it was about 85, 90,000. It was the fastest growing city in the state of California for quite a while. Excuse me. They had initially their services had been provided by the county of Riverside Parks and Recreation. And then they also had a private Parks and Rec agency. It's called Valleywide Park and Rec District. So it was a rec district. And at one point, the city council decided that they wanted to have their own Parks and Recreation department on I'm probably going to get this wrong, but on the east side of the freeway, because it was divided by a freeway. And then the west side would continue to be maintained by Valleywide Rec and Park. So they hired a director, and that director was able to go and essentially build his team from the ground up. I was the first recreation supervisor with the city, and my marching orders was create this department from the ground up. And I hired the team that we had that was working for me. had all been hired by this director because of the timeline was just so rapid fire. But I'll tell you, I was blessed with an absolutely incredible team. To this day, we all remain very close, checking on each other all the time. They're all very successful in their fields now, and actually 2 of them are still with the City of Menifee, and I think that's awesome. But yeah, we started policies and procedures. We started programs. We started out how are we going to allocate fields? What kind of sports are we going to run? How are we going to manage the parks? So they hired a parks crew. How are we going to develop future parks? I was involved in the development of new parks, which was the first in my career, and now it's something I absolutely love doing. Getting to kind of build that structure of how you want your parks to look in the future. And yeah, just pretty much no idea was a bad idea. And our director was great about, hey, if you have an idea and it makes sense financially and the community wants it, let's run it, let's do it. And so we kind of, our calling card as we first started was special event planning. We had some just mega huge special events, Christmas celebrations, 4th of July celebrations, everything you can think of, we did. And then we kind of continued to build. The city council liked what we were doing. So we created some really great senior programs. We had some advisory boards, a lot of different people, key players involved in the process of making that a great department. We ended up winning some awards for best special events in the region. And I'm just really proud to say that a lot of the things that were created there were that initial team of about 5 full-time programming staff for the Parks and Rec department. We built an entire part-time team. When we first got hired, we had 0 part-time staff. And by the time I left, I think we're at 45, 50, somewhere in that range. So yeah, it was just, of course, going through some growing pains too. I mean, the community not being super receptive to having 2 different providers, the community being very familiar with the other district that was providing services, didn't necessarily want that change in the city way of doing things. But we were able to win some hearts and minds on that. And I think we brought some people over to show that we were doing quality programming. Had a lot of great connection points because one thing about Menifee is there's so much care involved. There's a lot of volunteerism. So we just always had people wanting to help. We had community partner groups that you would just say, hey, we want to do this event. And next thing you know, you have 300 volunteers to run a program to improve seniors in the community's homes. It was a big senior community. So just really blessed to have had that opportunity there, learned more than I ever did in my career. We started, COVID started when I was still there, and navigating the challenges of what that was going to be. We didn't know what was going on. So we started doing some online programming and trying to figure out a way to still provide services to our seniors that needed our programs, needed that congregate meals. So we found some new ways to do that and still be able to provide that connection point for them. Was a turning point in my career for sure. We were involved in homeless outreach as well. We did the homeless task force, which was a new one for me. But again, I learned a lot about using resources to try to really improve the quality of life for everybody in the community, including those unhoused. And so, yeah, just a great learning opportunity that I'll never forget and will always be grateful for.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're going to take a quick break, and then I wanted you to talk about park development. That's not a topic that I've kind of gone deep on, how to take a park from just raw piece of land to finished product and what that looks like. But we'll go ahead and play our facilities maintenance show. It's a show that we're building out. It's a morning show celebrating all the people that maintain our parks and rec systems. It's easily half of the manpower, the money, effort spent is just maintaining the infrastructure that we have in parks and rec, from the green spaces, community centers, aquatic centers. So this is kind of like the backbone of this industry. So they don't get enough thank you. So here's a whole show dedicated to y'all and a little promotion for it.
Behind every thriving park, every safe playground, every event-ready field, there's a team working before sunrise and long after sunset. This is Facility Maintenance, the only show created for and by the unsung heroes of parks and recreation. Brought to you by DPRS Media Co., where real work gets real recognition. From restrooms to rec centers, HVAC to turf tech, we go beyond the job site into the heart of operations that keep our communities moving. Our mission? To elevate maintenance teams through stories, solutions, and shared experience. Our vision? A world where every facility crew is seen, valued, and fully supported. Each episode features operators, innovators, and leaders, sharing tools, tech, and tactics that make the impossible look easy. Facility maintenance isn't just a job, it's purpose.
It's passion. And now it's a show. Facility maintenance, where tools meet purpose, where work becomes legacy.
All right. And the next show I want to promote is our Youth Sports Mastery Show. It's a weekly show that's been going on for quite a while now with our host, Aaron Locks. He is the founder and owner of the National Academy of Athletics, has coaches across the country working in Parks and Rec facilities. And so this is the show that he brings on every Thursday to talk all things youth sports. So we'll play this and we'll finish up our conversation with Jason.
At DPRS Media Co., we don't just create content, we elevate community through storytelling. Now, we're proud to introduce the newest addition to the family. Welcome to Youth Sports Mastery, the podcast where champions are shaped, not just on the field, but in life. Hosted by National Academy of Athletics founder Aaron Locks. Youth Sports Mastery dives deep into how youth sports can empower kids, strengthen communities, and build leaders. From coaching culture to recreation strategy, and from player development to parent impact, every episode brings game-ready insight from the people making it happen. Youth Sports Mastery goes live every Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Only on the Daily Parks and Rec Show, sponsored by National Academy of Athletics and powered by DPRS Media Co. This is where purpose meets play.
All right, so park development, and a lot of times this is a dream of everybody that gets in Parks and Rec, to have a raw piece of land that you get to develop into a park, start to finish. You get to kind of blank canvas, paint your beautiful vision. So tell us about your experiences with that whole process.
Yeah, full disclosure, I haven't been too in the weeds on, well, from start to finish. I would say I've had a couple of projects, but more on the programming side. Hey, how are we going to program this site? So I'll speak more on that into things. But I think one of the most important things to remember, especially as a municipal park, is to think about accessibility. How are people going to access your park, whether it be from a street view, whether it be from when you get to the park? Do we have wheelchair access? Do we have safe slopes to make sure nobody's slipping and sliding if it gets a little bit wet? And then, is it a park that you're able to get as a staff member, have a full view of what's going on at all times? Because if you have a park that has an area that's uncovered, there's several dangers that can come, and you just want to make sure you're able to prepare yourself and your staff for everything. But I would definitely say safety and accessibility are first and foremost.
And just on that topic, I remember I interviewed somebody in facilities maintenance out in Dallas. Shout out to Joseph. But I never thought about this. But have you ever pulled up to a playground and from the parking lot not been able to see, from your car, be able to see the entire playground? A police officer needs to drive up and see any threats. A mom with kids need to pull up, not get out of a car, see the whole playground. There's no little person hiding behind something that might try to get you. And until he said that, that is considered in park design among other things. But it's just, I think it's important how Parks and Rec pays attention to those details.
Yeah, absolutely. And to expand on that is making sure that if you have a huge, let's say regional type park, do you have access points for fire apparatus? Can a ladder truck get in there if they need to? Can a squad get in there if they need to? And I'm glad you hit on the point of a police officer being able to pull up to our playgrounds, because we live in a world that's very uncertain, and there's a lot of dangers out there, and our kids are our most precious commodity, and we need to make sure that we're protecting them. So yeah, being able to have that viewpoint as you drive through any park, whether it be playground, facility, rec center. If you're driving through a rec center, are there windows that you can see what's going on inside of some of those classes without it being too intrusive? But also from a park development standpoint, I think, is it diverse? Is it just soccer? Is it just baseball? Is it just softball? One of the cool things that we have here with the City of Mesa is that our parks folks are always about finding enhancements to parks, finding CIP money. We're putting CIP projects together that we can enhance our parks. It's hot in Mesa, obviously, so we're constantly looking at ways to develop shade whether that be naturally with trees or whether that be to purchase shade structures. Always thinking of safety from not just physical, but also is the environmental. Is it environmentally safe? Are you able to stay away from the sun? And are there trees that the branches are too long? Our parks team here in Mesa does an absolutely phenomenal job of just making sure we have high quality award winning parks. So I think that determining all of those viewpoints on a diverse side though too is thinking about if there's kids playing soccer or baseball or softball, what are those other kids able to do? Is there a playground close enough that they can go experience that while their brothers and sisters are playing and still be in a safe place where mom and dad can still see that? And so I think looking at that as well, is there enough seating? Because if grandma or grandpa are taking their kids to the park and getting a little tired from swinging the kid for an hour, then are they able to go and sit down somewhere? Is there accessible water? One of the things I love at our parks is all of our new parks have the fillable water stations where you put your bottle in the little deal and you can fill up your water bottle. And I think that's a great feature because it's important to drink water, especially when it's so hot out like it is in Arizona. Restroom facilities, are you able to keep them as clean as possible without having too many issues? Can a cleaning crew get in there and really take care of that? Lighting, making sure that you're working with Musco to get the latest and greatest lighting features to make sure there's not as light pull over to the residents in the community. And then I would say that's my final thing is just making sure that there's resident buy-in. I think it's crucial to have resident meetings when you're going to be building a park if it's really close or embedded into a housing development or housing tract, to make sure that the residents have some input on what you're putting out there. Do they want a big 4-field soccer complex with lights? And if they do, what are some other features they'd like to see to make sure that we have traffic, parking, we have enough parking stalls? One of the other great things, not to toot our own horn, but here in Mesa, is we've gone away from our parks having the traditional brick and mortar concession stands. And now we actually, a lot of our parks are being developed with drive up food truck plugins. So they have the ability for food trucks to pull right up, plug in their generators to the 9 volt, whatever kind of plug-in they need, and then vend right there with some picnic benches right in that vicinity. So you get a little bit more variety of offerings instead of just your traditional hamburger, hot dog, popcorn, and whatever else.
Oh yeah. And I've had some people on the show that are just masters at the whole food truck game, especially for their special events. And they're able to, like you said, some of these food trucks are just like some of the best little restaurant on wheels. You
Amazing.
get some of the best food from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now I wanted to go, you had said about, was it the National Alliance of Youth Sports? What is that?
Yes.
Can you kind of define that for us?
Yeah, so it's NAYS. I was involved in NAYS, NAYS, National Alliance for Youth Sports, very early on in my career. Again, had some mentors that believed in me and allowed me to get some experience in some of those trainings. They have really great online resources that you can get for free, but they also have some very detailed training specific to youth sports, and it covers everything from safety in your programs to marketing your programs, best quality programming strategies, so you make sure you're offering a quality program. And it's that all of that is encompassed in the Certified Youth Sports Administrator. Did I get that right? Yeah. So, the CYSA, Certified Youth Sports Administrator. It's a certificate that you can earn by going through, I want to say it's like a 6-week class, something like that. You can do it all online. Sometimes they'll come out and do like a 1-day training for a municipality that might have multiple people that want to come and take that certification. We're working on doing something like that through Arizona Park and Rec Association to maybe have a one-stop shop that people from all kinds of different cities can come in and have that training and be certified, because it is important, because again, it just really echoes the key components of a great program: safety, sportsmanship, learning how to win, learning how to lose, the philosophies that are important to a lot of agencies, and really defining that and putting it in a kind of a one-stop shop. 2 of our staff here in the City of Mesa, Roger Ramirez and Augie Perez, are both certified youth sports administrators. So we like to let folks know that as they're signing up, hey, we have these quality professionals that have this extra layer of certification. So you can trust us with your kids, and you can trust us to offer a quality program. So yeah, I highly recommend you look into NAYS, NAYS. Very easy to find. They have they call it the Congress coming up in, I think it's the first week of November in San Diego. So you can go and learn and experience one of the most beautiful cities in the country all at the same time. We have One of our staff, Roger, like as I mentioned before, he's going to be going to that this year, and I'm super excited to send him because it's a really great opportunity for a young up and coming youth sports administrator.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure it's a national alliance. Do they rotate cities, or is it kind of in one city every year? Or
Yeah, I feel like they go kind of East Coast, West Coast. I believe last year was in Baltimore, Maryland. This year, San Diego, California. I'd have to do some research to see where 2026 is going to be held. But it seems like they kind of similar to NRPA, East Coast, West Coast, maybe somewhere in the central part of the country. They try to make it so it's accessible as much as it possibly can be. It's affordable. I went and looked at the pricing yesterday because I may send myself because I haven't been in many years. I was surprised that it wasn't as outrageously expensive as I expected to see, being that it's in San Diego.
Now, I'd also like to speak a little bit about, or give you a chance to talk about managing and maintaining sports fields. Let's maybe just give a 101 on that real quick, and then we'll go deeper into it.
Yeah, I can't stress this enough. The most crucial part of managing your sports fields is having a great relationship with your your parks maintenance folks, your foreman, your forward person, your maintenance supervisor, whoever that person is that determines when your fields are going to be down for maintenance. What kind of level of resources are they going to pour into those fields? Having a great relationship with those people is absolutely crucial. I've learned that at a very young age that you can have a detrimental relationship with those people, and you're going to have a tough time, keeping those fields open longer or getting that extra re-prep on a field that maybe you forgot to put in. If you have that relationship, it's a heck of a lot easier to have those tough conversations. Going back to my time in the city of Fontana, where I was at for 10 years, I was overall the athletic fields there, the allocations and everything. And we had a gentleman, his name's Freddie Fix, and I think he still works there. He's probably the longest serving employee in any city anywhere. And I'm not kidding. I think it's been like 45 years. It's insane. And this guy, I'd buy him different little treats and everything like that, birthday presents, Christmas presents. But no matter what, I always could count on him to do an extra prep or to put a little extra care on a field. And he would always leave after that conversation with, "You owe me." And to this day, every time I talk to him, like, "I still owe you." He's like, "Yeah, you do." So, but yeah, have that relationship with those folks, because ultimately, if you want your fields to be open longer and less of a downtime for maintenance periods, then you're going to want those folks to be on your side. Now, that being said, it's important that you stagger and you learn the capacity of your fields. So, some fields are just not meant to have play every single day of the week, 365 days of the year. So it's important to stagger those allocations. If you're blessed like we are to have a ton of different fields, it's easier to do. But if you're in a city that has great demand and not as many fields, then you have to get really creative and talk about, hey, Little League, you guys can have your spring season, which is your primary season, but we'd really appreciate if you could take fall off. That way the fields can have some time to rest. And during that period, resisting the urge to go and schedule, 10 different tournaments every week while the fields are down, and allowing them to rest and allowing that extra maintenance to occur. It's hard because we all have revenue expectations, but you can get creative with that too. And maybe have a different fee structure for times that it's supposed to be down, and then build that into your model of, hey, we're going to provide some more resources to keep these fields up as opposed to keeping them down as long, because we're charging this enhancement cost because we want to have these tournaments in here. And then I think also just making sure that you have staff on site. Some cities like us, we have staff, part-time staff working all of our fields. So if our fields are open, we have a staff person there, and ensuring that they have some ownership and some buy-in of those facilities, making sure that they're not allowing, if there's a dirt bike that comes through for whatever reason, they're calling the park rangers or calling the police to make sure that's handled, creating some good boundaries and some good guidelines for the people that are renting your fields. At the end of the day, those little things do add up. They really do. In addition to the bigger picture things like having a rotation so that you're closing the certain fields at the same time, leaving the other ones open so that you don't exceed that capacity that you've set for your own agency.
Yeah. Now, what are some things? I mean, obviously, you want to keep the grass cut. You want to take the trash out. You want to make sure the bathrooms are clean. But what are some things that cities might not think about? I mean, one that comes to mind might be just good signage. But are there some other things that you want to consider when having a good park ready for a tournament coming up?
Sure. No, I think I'm all about the pre-planning, and the more knowledge somebody has, the better as they come into their rental. We have a great team here that allocates all of our fields, and one of our biggest things is making sure that we have an email that goes out before the actual usage occurs that says, just as a reminder, you guys are allowed to, we have your schedule. Please do not divert from the schedule, because some people at tournaments like to sneak in a fourth game when there should only be 3 games on the field. So ensuring that they have a very clear and written understanding of what that usage should be, and ensuring that they understand that there will be consequences if you misuse the fields. We'll have to hold your security deposit. If people are, I don't want to say threatened, but if they have the consequence over their head of, hey, if we don't take care of this facility, we're going to have some, we're going to have a hit to the pocketbook. They're going to be a lot more inclined to really take care of your facility and not try to push the envelope, so to speak, in ensuring that they're not putting too many games out there. Or we actually have a rule that's not very popular amongst our tournament providers. We don't allow metal cleats because we feel like it tears up the bases, it tears up the portable pitching mound, the rubbers, the home plates, the batter's boxes too much. It's a decision that was made before I got here, but I support it because I do feel like it causes some additional damage that we want to make sure our fields are pristine for generations to come, not just for that one tournament that came in one time a year. So I think pre-planning and setting some clear expectations with your parks maintenance professionals and saying, what are you seeing out there that's causing these fields to have that additional damage or to have to be down longer for maintenance? And then discussing that and saying, hey, you know what, we're going to consider putting that in our policy procedures. And then if leadership's on board with it, putting it out there and just notifying folks, hey, I'm sorry, but in order for these fields to remain beautiful and playable, we need you guys to adhere to these policies.
Yeah. Now, are there any skills that you'd like your groundskeepers for these sports fields to have? Is there any kind of certifications or kind of what's the skill set you'd like them to bring on board?
So I don't directly supervise the field staff out there, but my colleague that does, Pam Brownlee, she's our foreman for our fields. I think honestly, it's just the willingness to learn, because anybody can go out there and drag a field, put some water down, and throw down a line, but are you doing it to the standards that we need it to be? Are they straight lines? That's a big thing. And if not, are we providing that training? And I know they do a really great job of having somebody shadow a veteran before they just put them out there on their own. And typically what they do, which I love, is they have one person typically assigned to each sports complex that we have. So a lot of our fields are surrounded by a fence, so they're gated off so that you have to have a reservation, a permit to go in and actually use them. And we typically have one dedicated full-time parks professional at those locations taking care of those fields. So they also have buy-in. They also have ownership of the field. And we actually literally today are doing our final walkthroughs. We do an annual walkthrough with our superintendent of our parks fields, sports fields, and our deputy director of recreation. And we walk through and kind of look for some areas of improvement. Are there some blind spots that we're not seeing that we need to address? And again, all of that collectively together, I think is where we are able to be successful as a unit, because we all do care about the facilities. They care about it from a maintenance standpoint. We care about it from our programming, but it's all intertwined.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of the Sports Field Management Association by any chance?
Sure have.
Yep. A friend of mine, she's actually on our board, Miss Paula Sleaford. She is formerly with Toro, but now she is with the Sports Field Management Association. I believe she's running that whole thing. But I know they're trying to come up with a certification that's highly sought after, similar to the CPRP and the CPRE, so that we have some, that way the park systems are saying, well, hey, have you gotten your certification from this?
Sure.
Because there really is so much, there's so much that goes into maintaining fields. I mean, maintaining grass, irrigation, it really is a science. And until you attend some of these classes, you realize that you really have to train these craftsmen up in their trade.
If that's not something the NRPA is already behind, I would highly recommend maybe proposing it, because there's land turf. I think it's called Land Turf Management School that you can go to. I don't know if there's a certification for that, but there's some trainings here and there that the statewide agencies do. But I feel like something that would be more from a national, global, hey, this is best practices across the country. Here's some specificity towards your region. But I think something like that would be really invaluable. I love that idea and would love to hear more about it.
Well, me and Paula are really trying hard to bring our organization and their organization together to create a weekly show all on sports fields management. I don't know if we're going to pull it off, but we're trying. So
I think you'd get a lot. I think you'd get a lot of positive feedback on that, honestly.
Yeah. Well, shout out to those guys. They're doing great work, and hopefully we get to
Yes.
collaborate and make some content for them on the regular because, like you said, it is quite a heavy lift to keep these parks looking good, especially with that
Sure
high
is.
usage. I mean, kids will beat the parks into the ground if if you don't give them a break.
High usage and high heat out here in Arizona. They're out there
Oh
in the
yeah.
110 degrees, laying down, sod and putting bases in. It's incredible.
How do y'all plant trees over there? Aren't you kind of the whole state's a desert? Do y'all have to just
Yeah,
do irrigation out the?
that's like 5 pay levels above me. I don't ask those questions. They just show up and I enjoy them.
Right, right. Okay, so couple of things as we come towards the end. We have a little tradition where if imagine you were sitting in front of a group of undecided kids or don't know really what they want to do with their life, or even maybe some part-timers that are working summer camp for you. What's your sales pitch testimony to this industry of why you might want to dedicate your entire life to working in Parks and Recreation?
I really love this question, and I've had an opportunity to go to some high schools and do some presentations on this very topic. Career days. What do you do? And people truly, I don't think, understand. Their definition of Parks and Recreation is, I'm sure you've heard a million times, is the show Parks and Recreation, and
Right.
it's a great show. In fact, I know you know this young lady, Gabby Vera, the Parks Director in Lake Havasu City,
Oh
Arizona.
yeah. Love Gabby.
Oh, she's the bomb. Her and I did a presentation at the Arizona State Conference last year, and we called it Parks and Recreation More Than Just a Show. And I think that's going to kind of be my, my 90-second elevator speech when I talk about a career in Parks and Recreation. And that's that, yeah, some of that stuff that happens on that show, some of the ridiculous stuff really does happen in real life. But you also see that those people on that show, if you really think about it, were genuinely pretty happy people. I mean, everybody kind of had their own struggle and they went through it, but the finale, not to bury the lead here, but everybody walked away and had a pretty happy life. Leslie Knope was like governor or something like that. Anyway, so I think that what I always talk to young professionals or kids about, and it feels so weird saying young professionals because I still think I'm young, but I'm definitely not. It's my 23rd year in Parks and Rec, is, you can make a really good living, very comfortable living, doing something that you love and leaving a mark. I really loved on your intro. I love on your intro video where you talk about leaving a legacy. What better way to leave a legacy than say, hey, I built that park, or me and my colleagues built that community center, or hey, my team and I were the first team to offer a senior nutrition program there that your grandma and grandpa went to. I think about those things daily, and how when I leave this earth, that I want my kids to be proud of the legacy that I left, just like I was of my dad, who was a firefighter. You don't have to be a fireman, a policeman to serve your community. You can do it in ways, if you're keeping kids off the streets and out of gang activity or any of those other nefarious things, you're still serving your community. You're still keeping people happy and keeping them engaged and providing that leisure service time. And for me, there's nothing better in the world than doing work that you care about. And I care deeply about the communities that I serve. Anytime I serve them, I care deeply about public service in general. And that's something that I think kids nowadays need to have that connection point to. So I really encourage our young rec assistants that work for us, or young professionals that are maybe in their first full-time job. Hey, you're really good at this. You should maybe consider this as a career. And a lot of the times it's a light bulb that goes off. Like, man, I thought that this was just a jumping off point to what I want to do. But then we have the same conversation if they say, hey, this is just a jumping off point. I'm just here to get a check for 6 months before I go and become a teacher. I encourage them to do that too. Look, hey, if this is your training grounds to become a teacher, to make a difference in some lives as an educator, then go do that. And let's give you the tools to be successful in doing that here. So I think that I also use that as a pitch is, hey, you want to be in roads, you want to lay pavement all day. Great. Well, in Parks and Rec, sometimes you have to go and work streets and do traffic because you're doing a special event. Or, hey, you want to be a professional baseball player. Okay, well, guess what? You can earn some money around parks and around baseball and around young kids playing baseball while you go to college and try to get that scholar, or you're earning that scholarship and trying to get to that next level of professional baseball. So I try to frame it as there's numerous connection points to other industries working in Parks and Recreation. One of my number one mentor, Bill Smith, the city manager in the city of Colton. He does a presentation, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but he calls it rec assistant or rec leader to city manager. So he started as, a recreation leader in the city of Ontario and literally worked his way up. And now he's literally the city manager, the highest position and the highest paid position in the city of Colton. And I've always appreciated that lens that he carries, which is, look, we are we're not the best at one thing. We're really, really good at a lot of things.
Mm.
So that's where I kind of leave it with folks is you have a lot of skills, a very diverse set of skills. Use that to serve your community and leave your legacy.
Yeah. Fantastic. Great answer to that question. Okay. So next tradition we have comes from Ashika Lal in, let's see, I did not even write down this. She's in California somewhere.
Okay.
I interviewed her yesterday and I've got my notes here. And where's that part of this? But, she's also a fellow podcaster. I can't believe I interviewed 2 podcasters back to back.
Look at you.
I mean, this is crazy. All right. Her question for you is, what is your high and low so far in Parks and Rec?
Oof, man.
She took it easy on you.
Yeah, that was like right dagger. Okay, you know what? My high is an easy one. That's always easy to start with that. So a few years ago when I was in the city of Fontana, California, we noticed a big issue. I was running a teen center, and we noticed a huge issue with bullying. It was getting out of control, and specifically cyberbullying, right? So you went on MySpace at the time, MySpace. Gosh, I'm old. You went on MySpace and you're ugly, or whatever the silliness was that they were talking smack on the other person. Got really bad to where we had kids coming to my office crying, and I was trying to be a therapist and also hold people accountable in a way that we wouldn't lose those kids, because a lot of latchkey kids in that community, not a great area. And so I also, as part of the teen center management, I oversaw a group called the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council. And the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council on their own decided we got to do something about this. So they came to me and said, we want to plan they called it I can't remember, it's an assembly. And I said, okay, what do you have in mind? They go, we want to have people come out and talk about how bad bullying is and get as many kids here as we can. So I said, all right, let's do it. So we got some sponsors, got this group of 8 youth leaders in the community together. And we literally pulled, there had to have been 700 kids there in this pavilion that we had outside our facility. We brought in speakers from across the country to come in and talk about the harmful effects of bullying, what it means to be a bully, what it means to be the victim of bullying, and what it means to be the most important part of the equation, which is the bystander. And that's getting involved and saying something to trying to stop it right then and there, because last thing a bully wants is more attention. So we had this event, and it turned out they did it every year for like 10 years running before COVID, of course, ruined it. And I don't know if they've gone back to it, but it was something that went on for a long time. And we took that presentation, and actually these kids applied with some support from staff to apply and do that exact same presentation in Disneyland at an event that was all about anti-bullying. And the community got together and actually paid for these kids who wouldn't have been able to afford it otherwise to go and stay at the Disneyland Hotel, go inside Disneyland, and then do this presentation. And it was just, man, I get a little emotional when I talk about it, because it really, that's what it's all about, man. I mean, we truly had some data that showed that we were making a difference in behavior in the surrounding schools, and then just the happiness, the enjoyment of coming to the facility for all the kids that we serve. So I would say that's my high. I have many highs, mostly highs, but that was definitely the one that sticks out. I'm gonna have to say my low was just COVID in general. We, again, in the city of Menifee, we served a huge senior population. We had a very successful, very fun congregate lunch meal program where seniors would come in and they'd have lunch and they'd goof around and they'd be totally inappropriate and they'd say things that were out of line, but they had a great time, and there was just some great relationships built there. And I would go over there every lunch and just interact with those folks, high five them, talk about football, talk about whatever. And then it just stopped, man. Like, I'll never forget the day we were actually at the state conference for California, CPRS, and it kind of all started to spiral in March, right? And we got together. There was a group of about 12 cities that got together, and we all were in a text group, and we're running things by each other. Hey, are you canceling that event? Hey, are you canceling that program? And then it got to, hey, are you canceling your senior nutrition program? Because at the time, it was the seniors were the most susceptible, right? So one by one, people started canceling their congregate lunch. And I had said, that has to be the last to go. These guys need this program. Let's create some measures. Long story short, I'll never forget the day it got canceled. It was a tearful meeting. But thank God we were able to find some really beautiful people in our community that wanted to make sure those seniors remain fed, some businesses. And so we did a drive-through lunch program, and it went from a low to a high, because then we got to see all the seniors and their smiling faces. I definitely broke some COVID rules because I was hugging them. I had my mask on, but I was hugging them, and they needed it, man. But yeah, the day that we had to break the news that we weren't going to do the congregate lunch program was an absolute dagger that I'll never forget.
Yep, all types of stuff going on in Parks and Rec, but it's good to go through them. It makes you stronger, and then like you said, you get to recover from them.
Yep.
All right. So what question are you going to leave our next guest?
Let's see. Okay, I have one for you. Where do you see the Parks and Rec field headed in the next 10 years? And it doesn't have to be one specific thing, but I think what are the trends that you're seeing right now in 2025 that you think will be the primary challenges or opportunities that Park and Rec professionals will face in 10 years when, well, I'll be close to retirement in 10 years. So it'll be your problem to figure out.
I'm sure robots will be doing everything we're doing except having fun.
I hope not, man. keep the human element. We got to keep the human element. Sure, if you need
Yeah.
ChatGPT for a quick email or whatever, go for it. But let's keep the human element in your programming.
That's it. You can't hire a robot to go have fun for you.
Absolutely not. Nope. And you got to have. We put the fun in Parks and Recreation is what I tell my staff when things get low.
I love it. Well, man, thank you so much for coming on the show today. This has been great. And and I'm so glad you're a fellow podcaster, man. Just keep it going. And really glad having you today.
Honored. And I'd love for you to share my contact information. If there's anybody out there that wants to talk about anything, I love having those communal conversations, and let's try to figure things out as a collective group of professionals.
Yeah. Well, me and Jason connected on LinkedIn. So he's on LinkedIn. So am I. A lot of the people that we find, by the way, if you're not on LinkedIn, there's just a lot of great Parks and Rec professionals on there that are there constantly putting out good content, and then also asking questions and showing off what they're doing in their communities. So we've been really happy with it. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on the show today, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Craig. Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye.
All right, another great show. Jason Hendrix out in Mesa, Arizona, where it's nice and cool temperatures, lots of humidity. Just joking. But we got that. There is so many good things happening over there in Arizona. I really want to make it out there to their convention. I've just interviewed quite a few people for the Daily Parks and Rec show, and so they got some good stuff going over there in Arizona. So we've got some updates. We are filling up. So Dave with Outdoor Link is taking a lot of views, a lot of interviews that we're doing from the NRPA convention here in Orlando next week. So I'm going to do most of my interviews on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then he's taking at least half the day on Thursday, because those of you that might not know Dave, he is a legend in the state of Florida. This is his home turf. He was one of the best directors, Parks and Rec professionals really in the industry. That so when Dave walks into the room, he's got everybody really coming to him, because I think he served in that industry for 30 years in the Parks and Rec industry in Florida. And now he's working with Outdoor Link, who is sponsoring, really underwriting the entire show. We're creating a weekly show with them on the Internet of Things, Smart City. We're building that right now, so we should be launching that here shortly. But in the meantime, me and him are going to be manning the mic from Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, interviewing, getting close to like 40, 50-ish people are now signing up for this. So if you see us out there with the big lights and cameras and all kind of audio equipment, please stop by, say hello. If we have an empty slot by then, I'd love to have y'all on stage telling us just for about 15, 20 minutes how your convention is going. We're going to do this from the common area in the convention center, so you should be able to see us. I mean, with all the lights and cameras and stuff, we won't be hard to miss. But please stop by, say hello. I'd love to take a picture with you, shake your hand, and then we're going to make something special as a gift to NRPA about, everything's going on in their convention. Shout out to everybody at NRPA that is working their tail off. I'm sure none of you are sleeping this week preparing for the big event. It's such a heavy lift to put on these big events. If you haven't put on one before, it is just a labor of love. And they do such a great job with it. I've never been to an NRPA event that I wasn't blown away by, both in the speakers, the events, like the places they choose, the after parties, you name it. It just is a great job. Vendors are doing a great job there too. They're doing a lot of offsite events as well. So you can attend stuff from morning to night, every day, usually a day before. On Monday, I know I'll be there on Monday. We'll be staying there till Friday. So and then Orlando is such a great host city. So much stuff to do there. So hopefully I'll be able to see everyone there. If you see me, like I said, pull me over. Let's shake hands, meet in person. I'm really grateful for all the love and support that we've got so far in building the Daily Parks and Rec show. It is growing so fast. I had no idea that it was going to be embraced by the community like it has been, but we are loving it, and we'll promise to keep going. All right, so the last two promos I'm going to play as we go out. Let me go ahead and play the YPN, which is our Friday show. That's our Young Professionals Network. And then we'll close out with more about how you can sponsor and work with and partner to create content for the Daily Parks and Rec show. If you're a vendor, hit me up on LinkedIn and let's get that conversation going. This is Craig LeBlanc, the Doorman, signing off for another great episode of the Daily Parks and Rec show Leadership Series. We will see y'all here again tomorrow. Love you guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Are you ready to lead the next generation of Parks and Rec? Whether you're a student, intern, or rising leader, welcome to the Young Professionals Network by DPRS Media Co. Our mission? To empower early career professionals in parks and recreation through mentorship, visibility, and real-world leadership development. Our vision? A national network of passionate, prepared, and purpose-driven leaders who shape the future of public service. Starting now. Powered by the Daily Parks and Rec show, YPN gives you access to exclusive interviews, career-building resources, behind-the-scenes content, and live events, all created by and for the next wave of Parks and Rec professionals. Learn from seasoned directors, build your brand, get involved with national conversations that matter. Whether you're in youth sports, facilities, programming, or policy, YPN is your launchpad. Young Professionals Network, your career, your community, your story. Are you a vendor, brand, or service provider ready to connect with the heartbeat of local communities? At DPRS Media Co., we tell the stories shaping parks and recreation across America. Through podcasts, live streams, videos, and newsletters, we reach frontline leaders, city directors, and decision makers every single week. From youth sports and facilities to programming and policy, our audience is your audience. Sponsoring or partnering with DPRS Media Co. puts your brand in front of the professionals who build, budget, and buy for their communities. Launching a new product, growing your presence in public spaces, targeting cities, counties, or departments, DPRS is your trusted media partner. Whether you're in software, turf, aquatics, robotics, smart cities, or special events, partnering with DPRS puts your brand in the story. With commercials, interviews, social campaigns, newsletters, and live shows, we're your media team. Partner with us and grow your impact in the $200 billion Parks and Rec industry. DPRS Media Co. Stories that move Parks and Rec forward. Your audience is here. Let's meet them.